fun as the CrossFit Games was to watch, there is a lot of questionable form and technique.
Watch where her knees go every time. It just...
Actually, a couple of them had the opportunity.
Very unique test.
So guys, welcome to another video. If you are new, my name is Adam and I am a physiotherapist. So some of you guys that are already following may already know this, but my actual day job is a physiotherapist. So when I see a lot of these fails and a lot of these injuries that happen in elite sport, it kind of makes me cringe a little bit. Today, what I'm going to do is I've put some clips together from the CrossFit Games 2020, where there is definitely some questionable form.
Watch where her knees go every time. It's so crazy.
And a few different injuries. We're going to go through, we're going to break it down, and I'm going to give you my opinion from a qualified physiotherapist and a mobility pro about what's going on in these different clips. So, let's get into the first clip. So, as we're set up here, the first event, the row, the bar muscle ups, and the shoulders to overhead. In this first clip here, we're going to talk about the shoulder presses that were in the first event. So, they're not obviously strict shoulder press, it's a push press, but we're going to talk about kind of the form and the different things that are going on with this. So, let's say Noah Olsen failing a rep there, and then there's like Matt Fraser failing. We even get Tia failing her rep as well here as well. The kind of the same point as what Matt did, but when it comes to CrossFit training, I feel like I need to give a bit of a disclaimer here. I do train CrossFit, I enjoy training CrossFit, I think it's a really good way of training, and I think the community element of CrossFit is really good, but basically they're going through a workout, and this is the first event of the CrossFit Games. They're going to be going out a bit hotter, they're going to be trying to find the pacing. At the top level of elite sport, like the CrossFit Games is, they've got to test the people, they're going to fail. So it's like, is it the best for people to watch and get an idea about what CrossFit is about? Not exactly. Like, a lot of the time when you're in a CrossFit box, you won't be doing weights where you're failing reps all the time. You'll be going through, you'll be learning the motions, especially if you're new to the sport. You'll be learning the motions, you'll be learning the movements, or hopefully in a lot of boxes you'll be learning the movements, and you won't be like trying to load up and do like mass amounts of reps where you're going to be close to failure. That's just not how it works. With this one, I don't necessarily think there's much wrong with it. It's kind of, they are testing them, they're trying to find the fittest person on earth, and if people aren't failing, then they're not testing them adequately enough. So for me, this is a nothing, this is a kind of a just pass it up really. I'm not just going to be defending people throughout this. You'll see in the next clips and the next little bit I'm going to go in.
It's about to go down.
To the event, which was the max overhead press, the max squat, and the max deadlift.
Well, it just shows
about the next weight.
Yeah, it just shows how much power she has, so much control over that. I mean, even though on the replay when it's slow, the knees really come in.
So even the commentators picked up on her knees there as well, which, again, it's just, for me, it's all about the production of force. So if you think about it from a physics point of view, if your knees are coming in during that movement of you getting from point A, the bottom of the squat, point B to the top of the squat, you want it to generate as much force in a single direction as you can, and that's going to make you as strong as possible throughout that lift. If you are pushing into the floor and you are lifting up and your knees are doing this, then you're losing so much energy and so much force in doing that lift. I'm just thinking, imagine how strong she would be if she was able to strip that back, sort out that issue, and get back up nice and strong again. And she's worked on the issues that are causing the knees to fall in. This girl is class, and she's an Olympic weightlifter as well. Like, she's awesome, and I'm not taking anything away from Tia when she's doing this, but I do think that she's losing force, she's losing power in the knees caving in. It's not great for the joints as well, but again, it's my opinion on it. But
there's some technique things that you could sit there and pick, but if the lift is a good lift, it's a good lift, and that was a solid lift.
But if it's a good lift, it's a good lift. That's what kind of gets on my gears a little bit, and like everything the commentators just said. So
Hey, tell you what, if you tell me to clap my knees together and I'll get a 325-pound back squat, I'll sign up for that right now.
Smack those knees together all day long.
like that, smack them knees together all day long. What are you saying?
Wait a minute.
What you're doing there is there's a lot of people that are either new or getting into it, or in early days watching the top level, the elite athletes do the sport, and there's a lot of people, I say, that are new to the sport, that might be young and easily influenced, and you're saying do whatever it takes, whatever weight you can move. But that is not the right message that you want to be portraying to people. You want to be telling people, get your form and your technique nailed, and then go forward, and then build strength, and then keep going. Learning the movements, generating the force in the right directions, and moving forward from there. Go in and we're going to assess this squat by Brook Wells. So I thought this was quite interesting because there's definitely an imbalance here, and I feel like I've twigged the imbalance, and that's why I use I use a squat test a lot when I'm doing like rehab and I'm trying to find out what's wrong with people and assessing injuries. So let's have a look, and we'll play through it, and then we'll break it down afterwards.
Brook Wells, this will be a third and final attempt.
Good.
That'll be good
So
for
did
Brook.
you see it? Did you see it? So what I'm going to break down here and what I saw is if you look at the hips on the way down, you can see there's a weight shift over to the left-hand side, and then she sits back into the middle when she's in the bottom of the squat. So that would show me that there's some kind of avoidance there on that side. So potentially a weakness in that hip, a weakness in the glute, potentially, I would think. And I'll tell you why it's a weakness in the glute when we watch her come back up. If you look at how much the left knee comes in rather than the right knee, again, there's that extra little bit of a weakness. And if you think about what the glute's job actually is to do, and your glute med is the one that does external rotation of your hips, so opening of your legs. So that's what you want when you're getting a knee cave. You want stronger external rotation of the hips so you can hold yourself nice and strong throughout that movement. There is a number of things that can cause that kind of knee cave, actually, and the most common one is the weak glute med, the weak glutes there. So I would be saying she may have had an injury there in the past, and that might be why she's avoiding it, but some kind of issue with that left hip where she's not wanting to take as much load as possible with it. But she's obviously really strong, because if we come over onto the next bit, and this is where I'm going to praise her a lot, because I think she got a lot of crap for this deadlift.
All right, so very tight. You see her get, everything's engaged. She gets right up past the knees. She's hanging out there.
There we go, so she gets right to the top. She got a lot of crap for that deadlift. Anytime that you're teaching a deadlift, and anytime I teach a deadlift, you always teach pull your lats back and down, lock them into place, brace your core, keep yourself nice and strong, keep a nice flat back, which is good, and it's a good cue, especially for beginners. When you get to elite level powerlifting, what you want to do, and what Brook Wells did in this situation here, is instead of locking your lats back and down, you want to lock them forward and down, because this gives you more length in your arms to grab the bar and less range of motion around your hips to squat down to actually get to the bar, so that you have more energy and you've got more strength on pulling the bar up off the floor. So a lot of elite level powerlifters actually use this technique that Brook Wells did, and the main thing that's important throughout this movement is that your back does not extend throughout the rep. So if your back rounds more or your hips pop up, you round throughout the rep, throughout the movement, you don't stay steady, then that's where the issue is. So if you watch the rep again, it starts rounded, but it stays rounded and it stays the same all the way to the top, where she gets that little bit of extension as she pushes her hips through. The last little bit of a pushing her hips through and getting that bar up was a bit of a grind, but the actual main portion of the lift in itself is safe. So we've only got a couple left to do. We're going to go through the lunge event.
The grass was dewy. It was wet in the grass when the demo team did it this morning. Actually, a couple of them had the opportunity to try with these heavy kettlebells.
And then, obviously, in the event, if you look in that top corner there, oh, she fell right into the splits. And then again, oh, that is not nice. Like, the force of actually sliding is going to put so much stretch through your hamstrings and your hip flexors. And then the weight that you're actually carrying as well, that is not going to be nice. I mean, if we look at this screenshot, oh, I'm not a fan of that there. My God, he's nearly in the splits. I think this is a lot to be said about the rehab that these guys do. So not only the rehab, like the prehab and the mobility training stuff that they do. So guys, I'm just editing away at this video, and I thought it'd be a perfect time to give myself a little cheeky plug here. So I have launched my online mobility coaching, so it fits in perfectly with the whole rehab and prehab and mobility training that these guys have been doing. But basically, if you want to sign up to take my free mobility test, it can basically let you know whereabouts you're tight in your body, kind of some different exercises, some different movements you might not even know you as being tight. So you guys can go over and check that out. The first link in the description. If you want to do that, that'll be absolutely awesome. If not, no worries at all. But let's get back into the video. We've got two more here. So one is just a little bit of a quick run over of, you see Haley Adams here. Roll her ankle quite bad. And I did see throughout the entire of the CrossFit Games, she had strapping on that ankle. So whether that's an old injury there that she's been rehabbing anyway and she wanted to strap it up for extra support. At the end of the day, my point of view as a physio is if something needs strapping, it needs rehabbing. But obviously in the run up to the game, if she's injured it or whatever, then you need to do whatever's the best for the athlete to perform. But yeah, like that, it didn't look very nice, but she seemed to get on with it. She seemed to be okay with it there. So sometimes rolled ankles are like that. They look horrible, but they're not too bad. And then we move on to the last event, and this is where I'm going to have another go at CrossFit, because I absolutely hate kipping pull-ups. And when you do an event that has 300 kipping pull-ups, you're going to rip some people's hands apart. You're going to rip them to shreds. So if you look here, you've got a massive, massive red stain on her shorts, which is horrible. And even the commentators are saying...
Sometimes.
It really is. But it is one of the worst things that happens. It completely shuts you down.
That it's like, when your hands rip, it's the worst thing. And then if you look at Hayley Adams here, when she's finished the event, she looks like a boxer. She's got both hands taped up because they're all in bits. And she posted this picture on her Instagram afterwards. And it's like her hands are just torn apart. They're in bits. It's like, that's a great way to finish the CrossFit Games, isn't it? It's like, I'm just not a fan at all of the kipping pull-ups. They're not a great movement. They're not great for your shoulders. They're not great for your hands, obviously. And I would rather them not do that. They class it as a gymnastic movement. But I don't know one gymnast that does that kind of movement. I think it's a move that should be slowly phased out. Bring strict pull-ups back. All that, there are a few other little things like Matt Fraser dropping a ball on his face. And even imagine how painful it would be to try and ride an assault bike with no shoes on.
Interval 3 underway, and we start with 15 pounds on the assault.
Oh my god, but they are my few honourable mentions of like different fails and funny bits that are in the CrossFit Games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Is there any issues that I missed? Did you see any that you thought was funny or that was bad that should have been addressed in this video? And I'd love to hear your opinions on all of these different injuries and fails and stuff as well, guys, in the comments below. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you do like stuff like this, we're doing a hell of a lot more Physio React style videos, and hopefully it'll be quite good. It'll be quite fun for us to do. So please give it a like. That really does help me out. Subscribe if you are new. Hit that notification bell. And there is one last thing to say. Oh, before we go, if you want to check out Hybrid Academy, by the way, I'll leave a link in the description below, and use code Hindsight10 to get some money off as well, 10% off. There's one last thing to say. Stay obsessed.